Okay, it has turned 2 o'clock. So we've got quite a lot to pack in here. So I think we will start off pretty punctually. So thanks all. Thanks very much for joining today's webinar. Start the integrated CX revolution by capturing the strongest signals. Some quick logistics before we get going. This is going to run for about 30 minutes with the chance to ask questions, which we will look to answer as many as we can towards the end of the webinar. If you do have any, therefore, please put them in the Q&A window that you'll see at the bottom of the screen. Worthwhile, you may have also noticed that this is being recorded. So, Tom, if you move on to introductions. So I'll start. My name's Tom Fraser. I'm VP of Customer Experience Strategy for InMoment. I've been 13 years in the business, and I'm fortunate enough to head up the insights consulting team of experts here in EMEA. And Tom?
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Hi, everyone. So my name is Tom Bullen. I am a solutions consultant here at InMoment. Been with the business around 3 years now, in this role for 2, having previously worked in our customer success team.
Brilliant. Great to have you here, Tom. Okay, so the integrated CX revolution needs to be started. So what do we mean by that? Well, integrated CX, or sometimes shortened and abbreviated to ICX, is our proven approach to combining artificial intelligence capabilities and our in-house expert services to collect and connect different pieces of experience data, analyze it all to provide much stronger signals, and then by linking these different sources, creating the platform for our customers to take coordinated high-impact actions. So taking the strongest signals to create the richest insights to deliver the smartest actions, and all delivered through our XI platform. Now, to help bring this all to life, I want to pause briefly and change tack slightly for us all to consider the parable of the elephant. So no, I'm not talking about the elephant in the room or about the best way to eat one, which is, of course, bit by bit. The story I'm talking about is the famous one about the blind men and the elephant. So story set in India of a group of 6 blind men who have never come across an elephant before and who learn and imagine what the animal is like by touch. So each blind man feels a different part of the animal's body, but each touches only one part, such as its side or an ear. And the blind man who feels a leg says, well, this elephant is like a pillar. And the one who feels the tail says, this elephant is like a rope, and so on and so on. They then compare notes and learn they're in complete disagreement about what the elephant actually looks like. And the parable shows that whilst one's subjective experience can be true, their experience is limited by its failure to account for other truths, or indeed to see the whole truth. And each blind man is actually partly right, but also entirely wrong, and that's the problem. So why does this relate back to our CX world? Well, individuals or departments within an organization may only have access to a portion of the data or information available, creating the risk of incomplete or inaccurate conclusions. And this is totally understandable if we think about the natural way in which data has organically grown within different departments, with everybody owning little parts of that. And this has probably exploded even more in recent years through new data being made available in relation to the customer. So thinking about all the ways in which we interact with businesses digitally, for example, and how that's captured and tracked. So we need a way of connecting these truths through integration into a single view, and therefore complete the bigger picture, address this issue, and see the whole elephant, if you bear with me with that analogy. So we all know that data either makes or breaks customer strategy. But as we've heard, data comes in different shapes, sizes, and from across multiple channels. And therefore, for many, CX data can feel, as it says here, noisy, siloed, and indeed expensive if the return isn't found off the back of it. So instead, we need to treat data as an asset to be shared for the good of the organization instead of being hoarded in multiple departments. That has to be the way forward. But how do we go about this? So firstly, we need to build on and go beyond surveys. So that would be a constant theme today. So for example, include more digital and non-digital channels such as website, in-store, social, reviews, chat logs, and bring all these different perspectives into one place through our XI platform. The key then is tying them together to answer the key business challenges and make sure that the right people who can drive action receive the insights they need and the complete pages. So by business challenges, I'm talking about increasing retention, and by different departments, I mean product or marketing or indeed operations. So how does this all work? Final slide from me before we head into the demo, which is why I know you're all here. So here is the complete picture of integrated CX. For today's demo, we're going to focus mainly on strongest signals, as we don't want to overwhelm you or eat into what will be covered in the next two webinars in this series. So we are going to park smartest actions and fastest return on investment for now. So on the left here, you'll see how we collect customer experience data from everywhere, every touch point, every channel, to create the foundations required for a complete view of customer experience. And secondly, through a combination of technology, so our patented data transformation tools, our award-winning NLP engine and AI, as well as our in-house expert services such as data scientists and advisors, we help businesses interpret all of that data to give them the richest insights and therefore understand where to focus both energy, but also really importantly, budgets and investment. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Tom.
Thank you very much, Simon. Thanks all for joining. Okay, so when we start to think about all those signals that Simon's mentioned, I'm actually still going to start the demo with the survey and show you how we get really meaningful feedback, but also increase the quality and the quantity of the insight that you guys can get from it. So everyone here is probably well aware and has seen active listening before. You probably all know how great it is, but just as a really quick reminder, this is where our text analytics works in real time, and we interactively prompt customers to expand their thoughts. So here you can see I've got a survey for my fictional company, Zenith Retail, and if I put it was okay, a comment like that is not helpful. It's not particularly insightful, but our text analytics responds back to me. It's doing that in real time, and it's asking me to explain more and give more detail. I mean, I don't just stop there, and I give that next level of detail that we're looking for. And using this conversational approach, we traditionally get 3 times the level of verbatim from customers. So over the years, we've got a lot of really rich data using this technique. But we're now making this even smarter. And actually what we're doing here is wiring this up to a generative AI, meaning we can ask more engaging and specific questions. We can start to create a tone to the way we speak, and we can also steer the conversation the way we want. So you can see here, I've got some different versions of my active listening that I've created, and we can have different versions for different surveys. So I've got a post-purchase survey that you can see that I've made friendly. I've got another that is a contact center one, which I've changed the tone of. And of course, all of these can be adapted. And if I take you into the back end and show you what that looks like, this is really cool. So just like active listening before, I can set a word limit, but now I can start to pick a tone. So a response tone, so whether that be friendly, formal, apologetic, meaning I can make it really relevant and more human feeling. And I can also pick topics to avoid. So maybe I don't want to ask on price, for example, or other topics. So I can start to steer the conversation with the customer the way I want and make it more sophisticated. And of course, once I've done that, maybe I want to test this and preview it before I actually add them to my survey. So let's say using that one, I'm going to say the staff were helpful. And what's happening now on the back end here is it's hitting that real generative AI, and it's going to give me a more specific question in that nice friendly tone. So you can see here it said, "We're glad to hear it. What did the staff actually help you with?" And I'm going to say, "They helped me try on some shoes." And again, it's going to analyze that. It's actually going to remember what I've said in the previous conversation. So it knows I mentioned about staff, and it's going to prompt me again in that more engaging way. Now, what's really cool here is I can do this in absolutely any language too. So let's do this now in German. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to change anything. It's actually understood that I'm typing in German, and it's going to prompt me back in that language. So really, really cool. So this is obviously taking active listening to that new level, meaning we're going to get better stories and better insights from our customers. But as Simon mentioned, surveys are only a small part of what we're doing here. And when it comes to listening, we don't just want to think about surveys. That's only going to cover, that small portion of our customer base. So a little bit like the first blind man touching the elephant's trunk. Actually, to get that bigger picture, we want to start by understanding what our unsolicited feedback looks like too. So all of those online reviews that we get, and that's going to give me a better overall view of what customers actually saying. Now, lots of businesses are finding doing that really hard. It's becoming a huge task to look at all the different review sites and try and understand what their competitor information is like, and that's taking up lots and lots of time for teams. But this is where we can make it really, really easy. So let's again say I'm one of the team at Zenith Retail. I can see all of my reviews in one place, and that isn't just store reviews, so Google reviews as an example, but this is also reviews coming in from places like the App Store, or employee reviews coming from Glassdoor or Indeed. So we've got everything together in one place, and this is really robust. So we're not just scraping these, we actually have API connections to all these sources. Now, obviously I can start to see my average rating, but I can also see some other stats around my reviews. So I can see my average response rate, I can see my response time, and both of these things are really important when it comes to search engine optimization and online reputation. So actually, how high up am I when someone searches for shoe stores in my area? So I can see here, I'm actually only responding to 2% of my customers, and that's actually going to hit me pretty hard when it comes to the SEO. It's not going to particularly help me acquire new customers. So, of course, within the platform, we have lots of different ways to help with these, and we actually have ways to help to respond to customers quicker, and we're going to cover that in a later session. Now, I can also see the number of reviews is dropping compared to previous months, so you can see that drop in score, and that is also going to affect my online presence. But to help with that too, we can use our Ask tool to actually solicit more feedback, so I can actually ask customers to leave reviews on those social sites to bump up those numbers. So you can see straight away we can really start to take action on this data and not just pull it in. Now, to really increase my listening, not only am I able to see my own reviews and stats, but I'm also able to start to pull in competitor information, and that's something lots of businesses again struggle with. So again, I can do that at a brand and a location level. So I can see here, I'm a pretty strong performer if I look at my competitive landscape. But I can still see that I'm being outperformed by some of my rivals who are actually getting more reviews and have a higher rating. So something I need to do to improve to keep up with those. And if I really want to dive into that and really want to dive into the competitors and see how I stack up and rank, then I can do that too. And again, I can do this both at a brand level. So I can see all those stats, average ratings, total reviews, across all these brands. I can even add competitor brands myself, so I can start to dictate what information I see. And again, I can do that at a location level. I can add local competition if I want. So you can see here, I can add that local competition. And again, we're not just looking at the numbers all of the time. We're not just focusing solely on the ratings. If I drill in here, I can actually see how customers are talking about my stores compared to others on certain topics. So I can see for this store, Skechers are outperforming me on positive surface. So again, giving me that kind of insight I need. So you can see, as I mentioned, this is going way beyond looking at just ratings. And if we think about other teams who might use this, we can even help out our local marketing efforts by looking at understanding how we appear in certain neighborhoods and areas. So we can start to understand how certain stores are comparing versus competitors in that local area. So if someone from this particular area searches for shoes, I'm actually only going to show up fifth on that list compared to some of our competitors. So not only do we give you that information, but we also tell you how you can improve that. And then finally, in terms of reviews, the leaders in customer experience now are starting to connect CX data with employee experience and feedback as well. And we touched on this briefly earlier, but as part of our listening strategy, not only can we start to look at those customer reviews, and competitor information, but employee reviews too. And I can get some really, really great insight from our employees as well, and start to understand the general themes and tone of what they're talking about. So now we are a little bit like the second blind man touching the elephant's ear. You know, we have all of that unsolicited feedback, both from employees and customers, alongside, you know, the great insights that we're getting from surveys. But customers are not just responding to surveys, they're not just leaving reviews online, they're also interacting and talking to us as a business. And there is almost an unlimited amount of unstructured data that can be tapped into here too. So within the platform, we can take everything one step further, and we can start to bring in conversational records like call transcripts or chat logs, as well as behavioral data and operational data on top of those traditional surveys and social reviews, to bring that all into one place to give that truly holistic view. And for me, this is really where integrated CX starts to come to life. And when we actually start to think about that, you know, reviews are generally a couple of sentences long. So too are survey responses. But when we look at call transcripts or chat logs, they are two-way conversations. So they can be 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes long. But the power of InMoment AI means that we can start to normalize those data sets. We're able to identify both sets of a conversation, and we can actually start to pull out the relevant and important insights. So we can work out how an agent is performing on each call, for example, or we can start to detect emotion, intent, or effort from a customer. So what does that look like in the platform? Here I am again. This time I'm the contact center lead for Zenith Retail, and I'm provided with detail on survey results, so I can see my NPS or the effort that the customer said. But we're also starting to provide a QA score based on call center transcripts. So this is generated on what is actually being said during a call when those call transcripts are processed through our text analytics engine. So we can start to understand those key scoring metrics. So I get an overall score, but also if I want to see the breakdown of how that score is made, I can do so here. So as an example, did the call center agent make a connection with the customer? Did we reduce the amount of effort for the customer, or were we engaged, and did we try and make a conscious effort to understand the reason for the customer to call up? So all of these things are things that the agent has been trained on. So during that QA processing, we're looking out for those things to making sure they're doing them. And these QA metrics are completely customizable. They can be weighted by importance, and we can do that obviously at an agent level or as a rolled up level. So at the minute I'm looking at a rolled up level, but I can see all of my scores for every agent. Now, again, what's really great here is because we can compare these surveys to the call center transcripts, I can actually start to compare them side by side, which is really, really powerful. And of course, we're going to have some similarities in what's being said in the surveys compared to the transcripts, but there's also going to be some pretty big differences. And again, I can do that at a rolled up level, or I can start to do that on an individual call basis. So if I set this as a filter, I can see when this customer responded to their survey, they mentioned things like accuracy, delivery, online order. But actually when they called up, due to the conversation with the agent, they actually started to mention things in a positive way too. So it's really great to compare those side by side. And again, if I want to go really granular with this, I can actually start to read the comments. And you can see here, we're able to split out the different speakers. Of course, we don't show any PII in here, and I can even listen to the call transcripts in here as well. So I will just mention too, we even have agent scorecards, so we can give agents access to out-of-the-box reports to see their own results, their own QA scores, but also to be able to see the goals that they've been set and action plans to improve. And we'll be discussing that on a webinar in the future. So Now I am able to see all of my signals I'm collecting. So I'm connecting all of my customer experience data from everywhere, every touch point and every channel, as Simon mentioned. So my surveys, my social, my contact center, any of the sources that I want to pull in, that really complete view of the customer journey. And as Simon said, this is all about seeing the entire elephant together.
Bless you, Tom, for ending on the complete elephant there. I mean, there's so much to love there. Just the fact that we're bringing together unstructured and structured, implicit, explicit, solicited, and unsolicited data all together is really important. And hopefully, you can all see why integrated CX is our mission. I mean, we fully recognize that CX has to go beyond surveys. As a survey program alone, it doesn't tell the complete truth. Also, we know that customer experience data working in silos, that doesn't work. As CX as just a tool, that doesn't work. It has to be a fully integrated transformational strategy that aligns the complete organization. When done right, as we can see here, it's proven to generate long-term profitable business growth. Now, why are we best placed to deliver on this? So it's simple. Technology without expert guidance doesn't move the needle. Expert guidance without great technology enabling change and having the systems to deliver against that doesn't either. So as everybody's expectations from a customer perspective grows, and cutting edge technology such as generative AI continues to evolve, businesses need a partner that can help them stay ahead and also build a program that harnesses the opportunities before your competition does. And through integrated CX, we know that you can better retain your customers, increase share of wallet, and all the types of business outcomes that a customer experience program is all designed to do, but also in the most cost-effective way, which is important. So where does that leave us? So before we stop and look at CX, we heralded at the beginning the fact that this is the first in a series of 3 webinars. And we've got 2 more. So the first one is on March the 13th, the day before my birthday, if you want to take note, where we're looking at the richest insights, where Charlie and Alice will take the next step and focus on the richest insights. And then on the 16th of April, Derek and Evelyn will cover how we help you drive the smartest actions. And of course, we'd love to see you there and to continue this story. So I think you can stop sharing, Tom.
Sure.
You can see our bigger pictures of our faces now, everybody on the call. So we've got some questions that have come through for a couple of people I recognize. I don't know, Tom, if you've got access to those. They're probably more technical than advisory. If I could hand them over to you, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. I can absolutely have a go answering those. So yeah, Anthony, can we train the AI tool on brand, tone of voice, per brand? That's absolutely kind of the next stage, and it's in the workings already. The solution that I've just showed you is really, really close to release, but where we had friendly or whatever that might be, moving forward, we want to be able to adapt those, as you say, per brand. So whoever you are, it will have the language and the tone that you would use as a business. And then Rodney, so is the AI tool part of our toolkit? Yeah, absolutely. So it's not a third-party solution; it's all ours and developed by us. So hopefully that answers.
I can see another question that has come through, which is in relation to sort of where to start. I don't know if I can hand that over to you as well, Tom. In our experience, where should listeners on this webinar, where should they start in terms of their integrated CX journey?
Yeah, I guess the answer to that, I guess, that we hear the most is where you currently are, right? So if you're collecting surveys, that's great. What can we do to improve those surveys or improve the quality and the quantity of the insight that you're getting, whether that's through active listening or actually just improving the survey design themselves, so you start to get the answers that you really want. I'd always say after that, looking to digital or whatever that might be, and then move into some of the things that we talked about earlier, like social or call center. I don't know if
I
you
can
want to add anything to that as well.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's exactly what we would advise from a consulting perspective as well. Surveys would be the place that most businesses are starting from. So do a full audit, understand the journeys, understand if you are asking the right surveys in the right way in order to get the most value out of that. But there are more and more ways of, for example, bringing in that implicit data in terms of how customers are behaving, for example, on digital. So that would be next. Reputation management is is pretty simple in terms of that integration and widening that picture from an unsolicited point of view. So I would probably suggest that would be phase two, with conversational AI being on everybody's roadmap for the next year to 18 months, I would advise. And we've been having very similar conversations, whether that exact conversation with a number of our clients, both here in Europe, but also in the States as well. I can see there's a good questions come through in terms of competition analysis. I'm going to answer that because that's not too techy. So yeah, so that's publicly available data, but not, so that's coming from reviews. So for example, coming through Google, it's a case of not only looking at your own social reviews, but looking at those from your competition as well. And you can do that, as Tom showed well, at a brand level, but it's also that local level understanding of competition in order to how you stack up versus, say, the bank down the road, or if we're thinking about branches or the restaurant down the road. So all of that is publicly available. It's just how it's brought together and analyzed is the key ingredient there. I don't know if you'd add any more to that, Tom.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's every review site that you can ever imagine is on there. If there's not one, then it's possible to add one too. So if there's niche industries that you guys work in that have very specialist review sites, then we can start to pull in the data from there alongside the more standard ones. And then
It's
I
pretty
can see
comprehensive, but we're always wanting to hear more. Sorry, go on, Tom.
I was going to move on to the next question. I'll take that. So yeah, what's the limit on data? Of course, in the transcripts, you guys may be getting 10,000 calls a day. So we're already doing this for some of the biggest brands in the UK and in the States that are getting similar kind of call volumes. So we can absolutely handle those. And as you saw, we can do it at an agent and as a business level. So yeah, we can take in huge volumes of those calls and transcripts.
Being a data guy, I'm going to add one bit of data onto that. With one of the large global athletics companies that we work through, I believe that we've got 132 million records that we're analyzing through the platform that Tom showed earlier. So it is highly scalable, and I can see here as well. There's 40 different data sources that are feeding into that 132 million records, and that is only going to go up. So. Another question from a different Anthony. I don't know if you want to have first go at that, Tom.
Yeah. So absolutely, as long as the information is publicly available, then we can pull from it. So we've got, and this isn't just scraping. So to my point that I made when we were doing it, we actually have APIs that plug straight into Trustpilot or other review sites to pull the data straight in. So it's not being scraped. It's really robust and it's all happening in real time.
And what aspects are available today? I know you talked earlier, Tom, regarding the enhancements to active listening that haven't quite gone live yet, but are going to be. But I believe that everything else that you've shown today in the demo is available right now.
Yeah. So we've had it available to certain customers and it's going to be rolled out in the next release. So yeah, it's absolutely going to be available in the next release.
Very good. I think that's all the questions. I'm just going to look in the chat to see if there is any more coming through there. If not, look at that for timing. I think we said right at the beginning that we were going to do half an hour, and we're right on that. I think if there's the last chance, if there is one more question that we haven't answered, I'm just checking what we've got here. I think we've answered them all. I will just pause. No, it looks like we've done all the questions. So thank you very much for joining. I know that links to some white papers and links to the next two webinars are going to be circulated as a result of this session. So thank you very much for joining live. It does really mean an awful lot to us to have you here. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your Thursdays, unless you've got anything further to say, Tom or Deanna.
No, thanks everyone.
Thank you. Thanks all.